Hello there, Internet. My name is MegaMogwai, and ahead of us lies yet another brilliant day in the arena. And I know what you're thinking. You're looking at me, you see me with the same shirt, back-to-back videos, and you're like, wow, this guy does not shower. It's called bulk recording, okay? Bulk recording. I'm recording a bunch of videos on the same day. Do not question my hygiene. Screw off. I said screw off because I want to keep videos a little bit more PG. Like yesterday's intro, I said like the F word 47 times. So I'm going to tone that down a little bit. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to showcase Missing No. We found Missing No from the first Pokemon games. It has infiltrated Magic the Gathering Arena and has rendered my sideboard unreadable. So let me see if I swap what the hell is going on. I'll be right back. And we're back. We can actually see the sideboard now. There we go. Don't throw hate at Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro. Okay, it's a small indie company. They barely get by, and it's only natural that their software is absolute shit. All right, let's talk about this deck is criminal. This is a best of 3 Magic the Gathering Grixis deck, ladies and gentlemen. We're going back to our roots. For those of you who are new watching, I used to be... I mean, I wasn't anybody, to be honest. But I played a lot of Grixis, and some people knew me because of that. So, yeah, it was one of my favorite color combinations because I really like to play Nicol Bolas. And I remember there was this 4-drop Nicol Bolas creature variant that could transform into a Planeswalker, and I just absolutely adored that card. And I was a Grixis junkie, you know, but Grixis is very different face than what it used to have. This is not a real Grixis deck. It's just kind of like mono black with a splash of like red and blue to enable Marchesa, the dealer of death, and also to run the likes of Magda, the Horde Master. And we even have Rakdos the Muscle as a one-off as well, and it puts in the work when it needs to. But, you know, the rest of the cards are black, so you know, keep that in mind. But we're calling Grixis, all right? So before we hop onto the sideboard here, well, let's talk about the actual deck. What are we doing here? Well, I wanted to play some best of 3 Magic because it's real Magic the Gathering. When you record back-to-back best of 1 Magic, you start getting a little bit tired of, like, you know, it's the game. Best of 1 Magic is very intently designed to keep everybody at 50% win rate, essentially. Like, it's because of the card draw variants and because of the matchup roulette and everything. Aggro decks just completely stealing games a lot of times. It can be a frustrating format to consistently dive into. So every now and then, I need a bit of a break from it. I do like the fact that I get to showcase a lot of different matchups from it. But I like to take a pause and I like to play some actual real Magic where most of the time the best player wins. Or at least the one with the best deck. You know, a combination of those factors. You know, there's still luck involved, don't get me wrong. But it's less variance driven, and I need that every now and then because best of 1 can be pretty taxing. So here we are. We got a crime deck with Marchesa, dealer of death. We have Tiny Bones joins up as a full set. This card will be triggering a crime essentially by milling the opponent and dealing 1 damage to them every time we play a legendary creature. And we have a deck that has a lot of legendary creatures. We have Tiny Bones the Pickpocket. We have Vadmir New Blood. We have Magda the Horde Master, Marchesa, Karvek, Lord Skitter, Sheoldred, Rakdos the Muscle, Aklazotz. So essentially, barring the Hostile Investigator, our entire deck is comprised of legendary creatures. This means that with Tiny Bones joins up, every time we play a creature from our deck, we're going to be able to commit a crime. And this allows us to trigger our crime engines very reliably. We have 2 copies of Vadmir, who gets a +1/+1 counter on him every time we commit a crime, limited to once per turn. These procs are limited to once per turn, except for Marchesa. Keep that in mind. Vadmir does that. Magda is one of the prime cards in this deck. I've showed this card in the past already. Like, I really love this 2-drop, and it does so much in this deck. We can play turn 1 Tiny Bone Jones up, turn 2 Magda, and we already have a treasure token on turn 3, which means we can play our 3rd land on turn 3. We can develop Marchesa, we can trigger Magda again, and we can use the treasure to proc Marchesa to pay for her ability and essentially pick up a card. So that is a great turn 1, 2, 3 setup that this deck really aims for. That's why we have 4 copies of Marchesa, 4 copies of Tiny Bone Joins Up, and 3 copies of Magda, despite her being a legendary creature. So that is a very important setup right there. Lord Skitter is fundamental to this deck because he's triggering crimes at the beginning of each combat phase. We don't really play him for synergy with the rats, even though having rats can be good, useful for Rakdos the Muscle to have fodder later down the line. But we just generally have Lord Skitter as a legendary creature that allows us to target the graveyard, gives us graveyard hit, which is really important in Magic, and also triggering crimes every single combat phase, which is fundamental. He triggers Marchesa. You know, even though we have some units that can only proc once every turn, Marchesa can proc as many times as she wants to, and Skitter can allow us to just get that free draw, essentially, with Marchesa on board. Karvik the Punisher allows us to respawn black cards because of the vast majority of our deck. You know, barring stuff like Magda, really, everything else we can bring back with Karvik the Punisher. Every time we commit a crime, we can play a card from our graveyard. So it's a very good, powerful value engine that can allow us to come back in a game later down the line. Hostile Investigator triggers a crime, is not legendary, but its ability does trigger a crime and allows us to tackle the hand. Virtue of Persistence, alongside these options for removal, all of them crime-inducing. That's why we don't play Shoulder's Edict, for example, are there to deal with early aggression. And what we have here is a mid-range list that is crime-centric, lots of targeting, lots of single target removal, hand disruption, hand discard, and graveyard interaction. We pack it all, and we have a really solid curve comprised of good creatures that can take the game away potentially on their own. Most of them snowball like crazy. And that's the point. We have Plaza of Heroes as a 2-of because we're running all these legendary creatures. This can allow us to cast Marchesa reliably while also protecting her from removal or any other legendary creatures as well. Merrick's gives us something to do with this mana. We can spawn these tokens, and with the tokens we can give fodder to Rakdos amongst other things, but it's just there because a lot of times we just need that red mana just for turn 2 or turn 3 to play these 2 units, and Merrick's can come in and do that. Cavern of Souls doesn't fit perfectly into, we have a lot of different types, but we generally go for rogue and human, or maybe demon. But not demon, sorry. Rogue and human, most of the time rogue, but it allows us to bypass counter spells and allows us to also summon Marchesa reliably, which makes it really useful. Jack Barons triggers crime, so we run it as our tap land of choice. It's very, very important, alongside a one-off of Soured Springs, to trigger our crime effects by just developing our land is very, very neat. And then we move on to the sideboard here, ladies and gentlemen. But that's the main deck. This deck, the approach that we're taking to a best of 3 is not like, we're going to go in, see what we face, and then adjust with our probably lose the first game, and then adjust with our sideboard and get back at them. If you take this approach towards best of 3 Magic, a lot of times you're going to fall flat on your face because you need a deck that is capable of winning game 1. Our deck is designed to match up pretty decently against most things and get that win game 1, so that we can relieve a little bit of pressure and focus on improving our deck for that specific matchup for the games to come. We have a full set of Cut Down, a full set of Duress, 1-off of Long Goodbye, a 1-off of Shoot the Sheriff, 2 copies of the Raven Man, the motherfucking Raven Man, an extra copy of Karvik the Punisher, and 2 copies of Invasion of Eldraine. So here's the gist of it. If we face an aggressive deck, we bring in extra removal. As simple as that. We bring in the extra removal, we bring the cut downs, the Long Goodbye, and the Shoot the Sheriff. And we lower our curve. If we're facing a control deck, we turn into Discard Tribal. We incorporate a full set of Duress alongside Tiny Bone Joins Up, will allow us to reliably enable the Raven Man and have a 2-drop that can snowball and has to be dealt with, which I really like. And then Karvik can be incorporated there to make sure that we don't run out of gas. And we run Invasion of Eldraine to really hit their hand hard while also potentially developing another win condition in the process as we break through the siege. That's the game plan right there. The sideboard is very simple in that regard. But it really depends, because a lot of times we're going to be facing mid-range decks, and then the sideboarding isn't as clear. It really depends on the matchup and what they run, what color combination they got going off. You know, because I like, for example, to sub out cards like Akhlazots whenever I'm facing white, because they can just exile him with enchantments. Stuff like that. You have to adjust specifically to the matchup. But that's the basics of it, right? We can either convert into a control deck with a bunch of removal, or we can turn into a discard aggressive deck to beat down control decks. And that's what I love about best of 3, man. Like, you can do some wonderful things with the sideboard, and this is an example of one of them. And I'm really happy with this design. This deck is battle proven. It works really well, and I've had great results with it, and I'm excited to share. And I'm gonna stop it there. We're over 10 minutes, but it's a best of 3 deck tech, so I think that's fair. Love you. Have a soul day. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for daily Magic the Gathering content. Let me know what you think about best of 3 content. Are you into it? Would you mind seeing more of it on the channel? I understand there's less matchups to showcase, but I do think, you know, it's just very neat. And I'd like to know your opinion on that. So yeah, I'm going to leave it with that. Love you. Have a soul day. Enjoy the matches. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, here we go. Let's play some real Magic the Gathering. Best of 3. Let's bring in Crimes. Let's play some Grixis. Feels like the good old days. Well, you know, Grixis. It's technically Grixis, okay? Swamp to Rook. Has that penetrating look, man. Feels like she's staring into my soul. As we got a 4-lander. And we got double Marchesa, so we're going to keep this. And we're actually going to preserve the Jack Barons for later, potentially. To trigger her ability, we see a Plaza of Heroes and a Lavaspore Boots. So I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to drop the Dark Slick Shores. And I'm going to aim to curve into Marchesa. So this, I know this guy auto-equips that. It's a strong setup play there. We're going to go for the Haunted Ridge into Marchesa. Our Grixis 3-drop. We have a stat line to trade into it. For now. We don't block into that. I'm going to do this into this to trigger both Magda and Marchesa. I'm going to tap 1. And I guess I'll pick up you. As we keep this in the back. We're already down to 11, so we have to be careful. She gets +1/+1 for every time. Actually, he gets +1/+1 every time he attacks. Right now, because there's 1 equipment, but they get more and more later. There's a lot of pressure we're going under here. There's only a limit to our greed. We're going to block into this. So we're going to need a lot of removal here. Right now, we're struggling with the fact that we just do not have... We do not have that removal. We have to play... we have to play optimally here. Actually, I made a mistake. I thought I had 1 more mana for some reason. At this point, this card is way too slow. I think I'm getting trampled down here. There's just no way around it. I need to run a bunch of removal. And I'm probably Omega dead. So let's not reveal more. We know what their deck is about. It's Aura-centric. And it completely blew us back. But we have the answers. We're going to morph our deck and we're going to focus. We're going to hyper-focus on speed. No room for Aclazot's. Virtual Persistence is good. Hostile Investigator and Karvek can be toned down, to be honest. I don't feel like we're getting much with the Hostile Investigator. Like, we need to really ramp up our speed and make sure we have enough removal for everything. We keep the Virtue Persistence because the Lockwing Scorn can be removal. We run all removal. And we lower the curve to deal with the aggression. And we keep. We can't play Magda, but we don't say no to this hand. Tiny Bones is really good here with the Death Touch. Can halt aggression. Remember what I said about not being able to play Magda? I lied. We can curve into Children. Like, we have an actual hand that curves out smoothly. And we can get back into this game. We got blown back that game 1. But that's also why best of 3 Magic is the real Magic, because I have a chance to come back here. Whenever a Samurai Warrior control attacks alone, it gains lifelink. Yeah, we gotta get rid of that. But first, Tiny Bones joins up. And I'm gonna force that to trade with that. That's my way of dealing with it. And keeping this Virtue of Persistence for something else. I use Tiny Bones as removal there. Except now this thing is too big. We trigger this. And I want to play Tiny Bones too. Make use of the treasure. Put them on the clock. If they have removal for that, with the Get Lost, we still have the Tiny Bones in the back with the Death Touch. Which completely halts them down. And now we got the cut down. Now we got the cut down. And we force the trade. Ain't that beautiful? Ain't that sweet? Let's use these maps. We pick up a land there. Very nice. Let's go for it again. Another land. See, that's why I should have done it before. Let's get rid of that. Let's keep the board clean so we can ramp the Virtue of Persistence and end this game. Kellen Fey Blooded. MVP. MVP of this game right here. Ya boy. Ya little boy just completely shut them down. You love to see it. See, if I had made that mistake, I would have been able to get rid of their last card and play this. But you know what? Fuck it. That misplay, see, like that misplay could potentially cost me. Because I would have gotten rid of their last card. We're gonna take this damage. There she is. I'm gonna take her again. Tap that. Pick you up. Jack Barons. Trigger her again. There we go. Get rid of one of their cards. With the Tiny Bone joins up. MARCHESA coming in. And absolutely shutting them down. And you can bet your ass we're going to use this full block lineup here to deter Kellen. Kellen has double strike. Kellen is powerful. But I got 11 total toughness protecting me. Oh yeah, this card hits him really hard. Very nice. God knows what that other card is, but taking away the monstrous rage from them, huge. Absolutely huge. We have to survive here. Jesus. Jesus, that was scary. That was terrifying. Let's go at it again. Our deck is not going to get any better than this. We need removal. We need removal at all times. 4 cutdowns. I wish I could have even more. Very threatening deck. I think the Tiny Bones there may have saved me because they could combine that with the other one. Jesus Christ. Every threat that enters the board, we have to answer. So if we have a mediocre, like, slow hand, we're going to mulligan it. 2 sources of removal. Only 2 lands, but we go second. And thankfully, we draw into another one. We can cast MARCHESA as well. That's good. The very end of their turn. I'm gonna get rid of this. And I'm gonna play Vadmir. I waited until it connected in case it developed something scarier. The Sword of Once and Future. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and protection from blue and black. Whenever a creature deals damage. Okay, so we cannot let them equip with that, essentially. So we got to keep this removal in the back. And I'm not giving them the opening. I know they can play Merrick's all they want. I mean, they could set up the Merrick's here. But we have double removal. Shoot the sheriff. Double. That's what needs to happen there. And we got him! And we got him, baby. That's the beauty. That's why people call Best of 3 Magic the real Magic the Gathering. You can get blown back by something foreign, but you can adjust your deck and ultimately come out on top. And that's what it's all about, because playing best of 1 all the time can get to your head a little bit, because it is inherently designed to keep you at a 50% win rate. Like no matter what deck you play, like you just cannot consistently have like a really strong win rate in best of one. There's just too many variables in play. But in this format, oh man, Deus! That felt nice. Round 2. Red Sun Knight. This person is ranked top 300 in Mythic. Good challenge. I have to keep track of the time because best of 3 videos are harder to control in that sense. I'm gonna keep this hand. It's risky because it's just a 2-lander, but I have a low curve and I have a Tiny Bones joins up into Magda. And that just feels good. They mulligan twice. Mono red, okay. I'm gonna lead off with the Jack Barons instead of dropping the Merrick's to Tiny Bones. Tiny Bones joins up is very tempting here, but it's more important for me to have access to my removal. I can't kill this. With Shoot the Sheriff. It's a rogue. I can't kill that. That sucks. We're taking a huge hit here. Okay. Damn. I need to be able to trade into these. So I have to hope that they don't draw something of substance here. Any sort of buff and they win the game pretty much. If they have a lightning strike, they kill us. Okay. Okay, Plaza of Heroes. Sheoldred, the Apocalypse! What is my instinct telling me to do here? My instinct is telling me to hit them here. Oof. Oof, we stabilize. Oof, we stabilize. Oh my god, this is the place to Hostile Investigator, always, right? Or Marchesa. Nah, it's Marchesa. Virtue of Persistence. Hold them back. We're at 6 health. Giant Growth is mitigated. And they stay back. They know what they're doing. But we have the Virtue of Persistence to shut them down. Let's tap you and you. Let's pick up that land. Let's shut that down. They draw a card because of the enchantment. And then Gotta get used to that. And then we do this to tackle whatever they drew. Which allows us to trigger Marchesa again and draw once more. Very, very scary. So let's keep you two in the back. Honestly, we should have attacked there. No, because they could have applied those defenses there. It's a great top deck for them. We have 4, 5, 6 lands. They can go up to a lot and clear both, but we can preserve a lot of health by doing this. What do we need next turn? We need to guarantee we prevent all damage. If I don't block with Marchesa, I'm taking a total of 3, 6 damage. But if I block with her, I'm taking 2 at best. So we block with both. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do this. Let's tap you and you. We don't need to trigger that. Though to be fair, it's good to trigger it because we keep them. We want to keep them low as well. We play Hostile Investigator and we get rid of the card that they have in hand. Huge, huge. Another great growth there. Keeping their options limited. There we go! There we go. Getting the game 1 is huge because now we're going turbo, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going absolutely turbo. We gotta keep in mind that they have protection. But we are bringing in the big guns. The full set of cut down, the full set of all removal that we can get our hands on. And anything that's too slow gets cut. Shieldred is absolutely essential. Karvek is just like not good here. Hostile Investigator is a little bit too expensive, but I do want to keep it as a one-off to have some plays to look forward to. Like I do need to be able to win games. I don't want to drop creatures. I want to keep all these removal options open. Honestly, maybe one Lord Skitter. No, Lord Skitter's a great engine. Hostile Investigator felt good there, but I want to keep one. I do feel like I want to keep one. Tiny Bones joins up is pretty important. But we can potentially drop it down to 3, actually. Here we go. Removal. Removal tribal. We keep... Dark Slick Shores. Cut down. Lockwayne Scorn is really good against that thing because it takes away the power. They plot that, okay. I could play Magda, but I do not want to leave myself wide open. I need to focus on being able to remove their shit now. I also cannot play Magda, never mind. I don't have the mana for her. Okay. Well, massive hit. Okay. Blown back. I mean, they get to go first. Very powerful. They had all the answers, which sucks. Like, they had all the answers for that. We're going in again. I believe this lineup can really work. It's just, you know, sometimes mono red is crazy, and they just had to have all the answers there. I was worried about the hexproof and stuff, so I did good in, like, chaining the cutdowns there, but they just had all the tools. But now that we're going first, we get a breather. We have Cavernous Souls, which in a pinch we can use for Magda. We have 2 swords of removal here. I'm gonna cut that down. I'm gonna play Magda the Hordemaster. Expecting them to do something like that. I'm gonna drop you. I'm gonna play Tiny Bones joins up. I'm gonna go Rogue for Marchesa. I'm gonna tap these 3. Keeping the treasure open. They're lining them up. They're lining them up. And we're gonna trigger Magda's ability and generate dragon. They need to one-shot us, but we have a blocker. They tried to play the patient game, trying to navigate around our removal by plotting and plotting and plotting, and we're punishing that with pressure, pressure, and pressure. And we have to be extremely meticulous. This turn is everything. This turn is absolutely everything. They dropped the 3. And now we hunt that down, and that's game. Look at that hit. Look at that hit, but not enough, boy. Not enough. Here we go. Let's get it. Let's go. Mono red down, baby. Or Cruel. Just as much as I'm Grixis. That was nice. That was a great series, though. They definitely knew what they were doing. They played to like their biggest chance, and they managed to have just enough to bypass us in game 2. That's why people who think that mono red is like somehow like dead in best of 3 could not be any further from the truth. You just have to, like, you know, think a little bit outside the box. And this variation with green and all these protections and stuff with all the prowess units, very, very dangerous. Even if you're running like a bazillion sources of removal, as you guys can see there, like this deck can still maneuver around that. And incorporating green gives them that protection that some people voice against. But I think most people who'd say that are just best of 1 players. And in best of 1, yeah, it's kind of pointless because you're trying to like surprise people with the speed anyways. But I'm really, really happy that I got to showcase a mono red game in a best of 3 series. I really happy about that. Very important that we won that game 1 too, because after sideboarding we still got blown back. So very good player, very powerful deck, but we came out on top. Good shit. We're at 35 minutes in, so I can't really go for another, like that would make this video over an hour long. That's the problem with recording best of 3. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the content nonetheless, enjoyed the two matches, and hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing some Grixis in action. I've got to showcase a lot of it actually, I think. But more importantly is the synergy with Tiny Bones joins up with the with Magda, like the chain with that and Marchesa. It's just neat, and it's definitely a neat deck to climb with in best of 3 in my opinion. So yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for daily Magic the Gathering content. Hope you enjoyed today's games. I'll see you guys tomorrow.